Hey guys, welcome back to another episode with our Liberty House. My name's Beth, and I'm here today to give you guys a summer garden tour of our backyard vegetable garden. So far this summer, Lucas and I have been really a lot more hands-off with our backyard vegetables than we have in years past. We did a bunch of work this spring to get everything planted and established, and since then, haven't really done a whole lot, I'm not gonna lie. You're gonna see some of our tomatoes growing a little wild compared to a lot of our pruning, heavy pruning we've done in years past, but that's just the name of the game, and we have a good reason for why we've been a little bit more hands-off with our garden, which I'll share with you guys a little bit later in this video, a little life update from us. For those new here, we are gardening here in Zone 9B, which is Sacramento, California for us. It's been kind of a mellow summer so far. It's usually already triple digits heavy hitting this time of year, and we haven't really gotten that yet. It's been relatively mild, but those triple digits are coming this weekend, so we have a little bit of shade cloth up already, just to kind of beat some of that heat and that direct sun that we get here, but I will talk through all of it, so let's get going. So here we are, our first bed. Right here is really just tomatoes right now. We had onions growing in here, and once we pulled those a month or so ago, we just really didn't plant anything new, but have just been letting these tomatoes grow wild, for us anyways. If you guys have been around the channel for our gardening years past, you guys know our indeterminate tomatoes, we like to trellis up these vertical trellises that we made, and kind of what we do is we plant them relatively close together and then heavy prune them up. We do a single leader, sometimes a dual leader method to trellis them all the way up, and this year we've just let them grow a little whack, but it's all good. These tomatoes are some of our unique varieties. We are collaborating here locally with a gardener called Wild Boar Farms, who's a local tomato grower, and he gave us a few new clones or new hybrid kind of varieties to try out. So that is what is growing here. We have a pretty decent amount of fruit set happening, and a few, I have a little native bee here hanging out with me, but a few of these orangey looking ones ready to go, and these have been super good to snack on. None of them have made it in the house. This is, let's see, Taste of Paradise, Gold Cherry, out of this world flavor. So that's, it really does have out of this world flavor. But yeah, so that's kind of what is all in here. You can see some more fruit set going on, and we just really haven't done a whole lot of pruning, to be honest, with this, other than just trying to kind of keep it up the trellis. And you can see some of them, are definitely growing up nicely, but we've also just kind of let them grow out, especially since we have nothing planted in this bed that it would interfere with. So there's our tomatoes. Well, some of our tomatoes. We have more tomatoes. Our next bed, next door, I did put up shade cloth early because I don't know. I know I talked a little bit about this in the last video update. This bed, it just seems slow to grow compared to the bed next to it. And we did a soil test and everything came back normal. The pH is normal. Everything's normal, so I don't really know what's going on, but everything here is just smaller. I did interplant a few flowers to kind of fill the space because my edamame that I planted 2 or 3 times just didn't really grow well. I think I have 2 decent plants. And then over on this side, we have a few peppers. These are our hot peppers over here. On this side, we have some jalapenos. Looks like we have a couple growing in, but again, this bed just for some reason is slow to grow. Although it does look like the leaves are darkening a little bit, because I know that was one thing we noticed. The leaves on these peppers after transplant really yellowed So I don't know if maybe the shade cloth is helping a little bit. I think Lucas maybe adjusted our watering on this bed too, but just kind of weird. Weird stuff. But we have a couple Thai chilies, a couple jalapenos. What is this guy? I don't even know what these two are. And they just have flowers, so I couldn't tell you exactly what that is. And then I have some calendula and some nigella. I need to deadhead that there. And then this is like a celosia. Well, it's called lamb's tail, I guess, but sure looks like a celosia type of pretty flower. And then here's like our big arch. Y'all know I've been struggling with this arch this year, but one thing that has been growing really nicely are these spaghetti squashes. So we've harvested 2 already. We had some for dinner last night. It was really good. So that will be something we're going to eat a lot of this year, I think. Over here is some of our cucumbers. So we planted a few different varieties of cucumbers, because if you guys remember, this bed, really this arch, both sides, we had like a crazy pill bug problem early this spring that just, they kept eating all of my transplants, or all of the little baby seedlings that grew. So I lost a bunch of cucumbers. The spaghetti squash was a little bit hardier. I had planted loofah here. They ate all the loofah, so I replanted these little Jackby little pumpkins, which are now good. And then some yard-long beans that are just really slow to grow. I'll come back to that. But our cucumbers, I ended up just buying a bunch of transplants because I just really want cucumbers. So we have a few different varieties. I have a Japanese cucumber, because here in Sac we always struggle because it gets so hot. Regular cucumbers, and by regular I mean like, I don't know, Midwestern cucumbers, because that's where we're from, Armenian cucumbers, tend to get really bitter with the heat. So these like longer, skinnier cucumbers tend to hold up a little bit better to our heat. So have some of those. So I think these Armenians were the ones I had sown from seed, and then I bought a couple starts too. So they're actually packed in here and actually doing pretty good, I think. I need to come in and trellis. We actually got some new little like clips to trellis, and I'm totally loving them this year. They are kind of just like this. We've been using twist ties, and we still use a lot of twist ties, but they end up in our compost more often than not, which is fine. I pull it out, but I'm hoping these clips, basically, clips like around, see if I can do this one-handed, around the plant, and then that little tiny bit clips to the thing, so it's actually like still loose in there, which is nice. But it'll kind of just help train, you know, the plants to grow straight instead of across like this one. But I'll come back another time and fix that. Okay, going back to this side, because I kind of skipped over it. Here's those Jackby little pumpkins that I'm pretty excited about. They are looking really good, I think. So hopefully I get a few of those. Here's a little vining flower. It's a little black-eyed Susan vine right there in the middle. And then again, these are our yard-long beans, which, I don't know. These ones I struggled to get to germinate along with the edamame, so we'll see if anything happens with those through the rest of summer. And then we have our last bed, which honestly is one of our best looking beds. Has a bunch of our other peppers in here, and I think it does really well because it's shaded by this pergola right here throughout most of the day. But we have been getting some heat, so we do have a little bit of sunburn damage that we missed on some of these peppers. So I'm going to harvest these ones that got a little bit of sun scald probably today. We always try to harvest those quickly because they'll end up rotting if you leave them. But some of them that are a little bit more protected are doing really, really good, like this one here. But we have just two varieties. We have an orange bell and yellow bell peppers, and then the third pepper variety in here is this candy cane pepper, which is kind of a cool variegated leaf pepper. We've eaten one of those so far, and it kind of just tastes like a green bell, to be honest, but the leaves are super cool and variegated too. This is one we started from seed as like a rare variety, so we have a couple of those, a couple of plants of those in here. And then this bed looks a little whack because I planted some calendula in here. I think this is like a strawberry blonde variety that has just really taken off, so I've been pruning this pretty heavily to make sure that the peppers don't get like outgrown by the flowers. But I always like to intermix flowers just to get the bees and everything happy. It's just kind of my way of doing things. And then over here we have some shishito peppers, which we love to grow in the summertime and blister up on a hot pan and just eat with like oil and salt. It's so good. Planted a couple zinnia flower back in here. This is a Benary's Giant Purple, which is always a favorite in Sacramento, or if you live in a hot climate, because they just can tolerate the heat all summer long. You can get some nice long stems, especially with the giant varieties if you start them from seed. So that's always fun. And then over here we planted some more beans. These are yellow wax beans, like a bush bean. So we're starting to get a few little beans, but I don't know, my beans just didn't do as well this year, so I don't think we'll get a ton of beans. This one is looking pretty good, actually. And then here's just the other side of that spaghetti squash, so kind of fun, right? Right, let me walk you over to the other half of our garden. So just on the other side of the pergola, we have another bed that had our garlic in it. So garlic in our region, we harvest that in early June. So we have harvested all of our garlic. I think we ended up with like 60 heads of garlic that we harvested from this bed and that other bed way at the end that also had the onions. But in this bed I planted, I just picked up two different plants, or two of the same plant, actually, pumpkins, some jack-o'-lantern pumpkins here. So it's always kind of a easy transition because we harvest the garlic in June, and pumpkins is always a good time to plant is June. So for a fall harvest, so we have two of those here. And then I'll show you our fig tree. Since it's right here, we just have this guy in a pot still, but we have quite a few figs coming in, which is very exciting. Here's a couple more. So we'll see about that guy. And then our garden's like full of weeds, but that's how it goes. We didn't really like full on plant all of these boxes, but we do have a Costada Squash here. You can see a few little guys coming in. We've already harvested a few big ones. So yeah, we have this guy going strong for some summer squash. And then next to it, we planted a couple of these dwarf tomatoes. We have a mini Marzano from that Wild Boar Farms we're trialing. And actually two of those. So that's what these two are. And we've harvested so much fruit off these guys. It's insane. Just like look at all the fruit set for how like small and compact this thing is. So pretty cool, like patio variety of tomato. And then again, you know, I like to intermix some plants or some flowers. So here is a Nigella Delft Blue, I believe. Is right here. It's super cute. Little flower variety. And in this box we planted two tomatillos. Haven't harvested any yet, but we have a lot of fruit set. And I don't know if you've ever grown a tomatillo. Basically it's like this like little husk. It's from the same variety or same family as a tomato, but inside there, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it because it's not quite ripe yet, is basically like the fruit is inside that husk. So once the husk feels full, it's ready to harvest, and you can make some great salsas. But kind of more of a bushy variety. I mean, we have it sort of set to trellis, but we're just kind of letting it go a little whack too. And then this has become kind of an interesting predicament, because I'm not sure exactly what I want to do here yet, but I planted a couple pumpkins here in the corner, which are like a bigger variety of pumpkin, and it's starting to take over a little bit, so I'm not sure how I want to reroute this exactly, but I need to probably figure that out soon, because it's totally taking up our pathway here. But yeah, we're getting, a few flowers. I haven't seen any pumpkins yet, but it's still a little early, but happy to be seeing at least some male flowers. I haven't seen any females just yet, but I'm sure the bees are loving this. These are, let's see if I can, this is the right tag. Yes. Cinderella pumpkins. So I think there's just actually, I think there's 3 plants. I was about to say 2. Planted 2 there and 1 over here, which is maybe too many, but I wanted to get some pumpkins, so that's what we got going on back here. And then, let's see, our back wall is tomatoes again this year. We did tomatoes back here 2 years ago. And I think probably by next year we may figure out a different spot for tomatoes. I really like having them back here, and we like to crop rotate because tomatoes and peppers are just heavy feeders, so they'll take a lot out of the soil if you plant them in the same spots year to year. But this spot is just a little challenging to harvest because it's backed up to our fence, so there's no access on the backside, so it gets a little tricky. But that will be a later problem. Right now, let me show you what we have growing. Back here in the corner is some green zebras. Back here, actually, this is not a green zebra. Where is this coming from? Oh, this is coming from this one. Hold on, let me look. Oh, the tag wore off. Actually, I thought we had planted like a super sweet 100, but that's not what this looks like. So I don't know what this is, but next to it we have green zebras, which are some of our favorite summer tomato varieties. They end up turning a little bit more yellow when they're ripening. Like this one here is actually ripe. You can kind of see it turned a little bit more yellow compared to those ones, and then it's a little bit softer, but it's just a super sweet, tasty slicing tomato that usually gets about this big, sometimes a little bit bigger, but this is a pretty good size here for that. So I think we have 2 green zebra plants and then 2 Berkley tie-dyes, which is another really yummy one right here. We haven't seen any of these ripen quite yet, but these will turn kind of a cool, like pinky red, kind of shades of pink color. But we're getting a decent amount of fruit set back here. Not great, but not terrible. And then we have 2 black crim, which is it was our favorite last year. They seem a little small this year. I don't know if that's just because the seeds were like a year older or what. Actually, this one down here is a decent size. But these ended up being like big, like hefty slicers that are just full of flavor, and they make the best tomato sandwiches. And then here, next to all of this, on the other side of this bed, we have some basil right here. I planted some marigolds right here. These are from seeds, so they're actually more of like a florist variety, like long stem, which is why they're a little bit taller. Here's some more of those, so you can kind of see just like how nice and tall they get compared to everything else. Here, kind of tucked in, are some more peppers. We have a ton of peppers. We started so many peppers. But we have Hungarian wax peppers. These are like ready to get harvested. You can kind of see It's maybe just like getting a little sunburnt there. And then next to it, I just had some more bells. So here's like some orange bells right there. Some more Hungarian wax peppers. Here's that black-eyed Susan vine. So I planted a couple back here too on this trellis. Some more of that purple giant zinnia, more of the marigolds. And then this is like I believe this is straw flower. So these are actually just like loving life right now. But a super pretty variety that are just like, I don't know, they're kind of fun. It's my first year with these guys, but super pretty. And then I kind of missed it, I breezed over it, but we do have a couple habanandas down here too that actually I think really enjoying the shade. The black-eyed Susan vine, I need to get in here and maybe prune it back just a bit because it's trying to climb everything except the trellis. But, you know, that Hungarian, the habanandas are like a heatless habanero, so those are just like a good little snacking pepper. And, yeah, so that's it for the beds. Let me show you our roses and some of our trees. Walk over there. So I don't remember if we had these in my last video, but we did pick up a couple new citrus trees. So we have a Lane Late Navel Orange. We ended up just planting both of this one and the other one in a planter box just because we bought little teeny tiny ones. So it'll be a few years before we're harvesting any from them. But we weren't sure. We want to do something with this yard and we haven't exactly decided what yet. So we opted to keep them in pots for a minute until we come up with a plan. But we have that guy, and then I'll show you the other citrus we bought. But right now, let me just give you a moment to admire these roses. We have the Sweet Mademoiselle, a couple artichokes here, which are pretty much done. We have been harvesting them and let them go to the last few go to flower. But the flowers are super pretty, and the bees are totally obsessed with them. And I've kind of neglected pruning our arch because we had some a dove nest up there, so I didn't want to disturb that, but I think they're gone. So I'm going to check that and deadhead some of these roses. And then here's the other hybrid tea over here. And then we did plant a new lemon tree. So this is just an improved Meyer lemon. So just a simple, delicious lemon tree. Our nasturtium is about done. It's about the time where it's just getting a little bit too hot for it, so we will pull it out here soon. And then this last bed has been kind of a fail, I guess. I don't know. There's no such thing as fails in gardening, but I had the intention of planting a whole bunch of beans back here, but only a few germinated, just not a year of beans for me. So we're just letting this do whatever it's doing. And then we did end up pulling out that passion fruit vine because you guys saw just how whack it was. And we planted a bougainvillea that I think is going to really like this spot. So we are letting that do its thing. All right, and then lastly is our last two trees. We have an avocado right here, which is doing pretty good. We haven't done a whole lot with it. I pruned it just a smidge earlier this year. So yeah, this is just what this is looking like right now. It's looking, I'm pretty happy, to be honest. Except right here, maybe not. Some of these leaves kind of look a little not great, but overall, honestly, it looks pretty good. And then over here is our lime tree. So this is a bear's lime that is just really, really loving this spot. And you can see we have fruit set for next year. So these limes tend to be harvestable come late fall, early winter. And then throughout the winter, you can kind of leave them on. But yeah, really good limes. And they're actually a little bit sweeter than like your grocery store limes. And they get really, really big, and they almost turn like a yellow color. So they're kind of lemon-like, but just really good limes. But that's pretty much it for our summer garden tour here in our backyard garden. I'll see if Lucas can do an update at our community site, because we have a bunch planted over there as well. But I did tell you I have a little family update for you guys, in the sense of we are expecting a little baby girl come September. So we are growing something a little extra special this summer, which is why we have not been mentally, physically, anything with the garden. We did a bunch of the legwork this spring and are just kind of letting it do its thing, and we'll see what happens. But that is that. So hopefully I still have some energy in the last 2 months here before she's due to give you another update. But if not, happy growing, happy gardening, and I hope you all have a very successful summer garden. Feel free to drop some comments down below. I would love to start a conversation with you. And until next time.